In this video, this is going to be a reveal of some different cards that I have sent off for grading through COMC's grading service. Now, if you're not aware of what this is, COMC started this as an option a couple of months ago where you could send cards off to grading with CGC or with PSA. Eventually, I think they might be trying to do this with BGS and SGC as well. I'm not sure, but I have heard that. So in this video, I kind of wanted to share my experiences with this and do a little bit of a COMC variation of a PSA grading reveal video. So let's get into this. So when COMC first started this as an option, their only option was to do this with CGC. I only sent off a few to CGC. So the first card I sent off to CGC was this Cade Cunningham Crown Royale rookie. So I sent this one off because I wanted to kind of experiment and just see, I haven't seen any of these cards in person. I'd bought these on the platform, so I didn't know. So I was just seeing, based on what I could see, if I could recognize if it was a good card to send off to grading. So if you took a look at this, what would you think? Now, again, this was before they had the offer for PSA. So this was just for CGC. And let's see what this one turned out with. This one got a CSG. This is before they even changed to CGC, when they were still CSG, just after they had changed from the green label to the black label. So they've changed so many times. But this ended up with a 9. So that's all right. It's fine. Then I also decided to try to send off this older card. This one was already an elite submission, so it had this nice scan. And when I looked at this, it looked pretty nice. I mean, you can see a little bit of centering off from left to right, but just a little bit, and from up to down as well. But the edges and the corners all look quite nice in this picture. So I was kind of thinking, okay, this seems pretty nice. Let's see what that came back as. 8.5. So for a card that's that old, that's not that bad. I mean, if it was a PSA 8.5, it would have been worth more, but that was okay. And then there was a third one that I also sent off to grading, and this was another one that was already in elite form, so I could see the edges, the corners, everything about it looked pretty nice. I mean, there's a little bit of issue maybe along that edge there, but generally it seemed quite nice. I thought it would probably grade well. Did it? 9.5, not bad. So again, if this was a PSA, it probably would do better in resale, but not bad. So those were the only 3 I sent to CSG. I just kind of experimented with it. And then I held off for a while, and then eventually they opened up something to PSA. So I decided again to try to send a few cards off to PSA. So one of the first ones I did was this Kevin Durant rookie, just because I noticed that the sale price of PSA 9s and PSA 10s would both have made me a nice little profit, and then like a PSA 8 would end up kind of breaking even almost. So I was kind of like, okay, I think this has a chance at like a PSA 9, and even if it only got a PSA 8, I would break even. So let's go ahead and give it a try. And what did it end up at? PSA 8. Okay. Now this one is I decided to do this one because just visually this one doesn't look like it would be a rare card or anything, but this actually has a pretty decent value. Even raw, this one goes for, I think at the time it was like $30, $35. So I was like, okay, this one looks pretty nice. The centering top to bottom is a little bit off, but left to right is pretty nice. The edges and corners all look pretty good. With scans like this, you can't tell the surface. So that's one of the things that's always a big challenge with this. And it's one of the reasons that I don't necessarily want to do a lot of grading with cards through this, because I can't really analyze this card closely. And you'll see from the result of this one, a PSA 6. I don't know why. This is one of the problems with PSA. I don't know why it's such a low grade. I can't tell from the scanned image. I mean, maybe there's some little issues on the surface. I can't even tell on the scanned image of this now. I've since then, I auctioned this off through one of COMC's live auctions, and I actually did make a little bit of profit on it, which is kind of surprising considering it's a PSA 6. But, so there's that one. That was luckily my worst one. I also decided to give a try. I had been watching a few of Flipping Steve videos about how he had been doing some videos of like, pop stars and different kinds of things. I was like, I'm going to give this a try. So I found this sticker of Bono from U2 that I thought maybe there would be a people who would want this card if it was graded. It was a cheap card, like less than $1 for the sticker. But I decided to see what would happen. And it is a PSA 7 only. As you can see at this point, as I'm submitting some of these cards, I'm getting a little bit frustrated. I'm like, man, I'm not doing good. I'm looking at these cards. I'm trying to see, okay, that the centering's not great, but maybe that can still be a PSA 9. The edges, the corners all look pretty good. Let's see what this one turns out as. PSA 8. At this point, when I had gotten all of these ones back, I was kind of disappointed, but I was like, no, I still want to try to figure this out. And this next one kind of shifted my perspective about things. So this one here, not really shifted my perspective, but just showed me that there was some potential. I was very careful about trying to identify one that was already elite this time, and I could see the scan was as clear as I could possibly get. It looked quite nice. There's a little issue along the edge and everything, but I was thinking again, even as a PSA 8, it might break even for me. So I got a PSA 9. And this one made me I sold this one for like $138, crazily enough. It really isn't worth that much, but I sold it for that much through one of COMC's live auctions and made like $100 profit. So that was a nice one. And that was like, okay, maybe I will try a few more. I tried to do this with this older Jordan card for this 88, 89 Fleer. In retrospect, I probably shouldn't have. I can see, I can't tell from the scans, like if that's a real issue or if it's something on the picture or this. I probably shouldn't have sent this off, but it ended up with a PSA 7. So it still broke about even for me on that one. So I was okay with it. I knew I wasn't going to get a great grade, but I figure it's a Tom Brady game-worn jersey. I would go ahead and send it in. It's numbered out of 75. And that one came back PSA 8. So not bad. That one I was okay to get encapsulated. I figure, this is something somebody's going to want to have authenticated and graded. And, so I'm okay with that one. And then here is a rookie refractor of Jude Bellingham I decided to send in. This one came back a PSA 8. And this one I did sell for a nice little profit. So I was okay with that. And another one of these that I decided to try, similar to the Bono one. This is Madonna, a sticker. It looked pretty well centered. Everything looked pretty decent about it. I thought a graded version of this might be able to sell. PSA 8. Then, since I had done so well on a different one of this exact card, I decided to try it again once I got that other one back. So I bought this one. It didn't have the Elite scan this time, but I decided to give it a try. I could see there was a little bit of a corner issue there, but it seemed very minor. Everything else about it seemed pretty solid from this, not great scan, but I went ahead and sent it in. And this one is another example of why you got to be careful. If you can't see the card very well, you might get a PSA 6. So I still don't know what it is that got this a PSA 6 from the scan. I do see in this better scan a few more corner issues. Maybe there's even some little scratch right there that I didn't notice. The front, I don't know what some of this stuff is right here too. I can't really tell. But it's tough when you can't see it in person. Things started to get a little bit better after that, actually. I had some ups and downs, but you're going to see things start to get a little bit better here. I got this card for a good deal. I don't know much about Pokemon, but when it pops up in a COMC auction, sometimes I'll do a little bit of research to see. And this card seemed to be a pretty sought card. And I was like, this looks pretty nice. Let's see what it gets. And this came back as a PSA 10. So that was a nice little windfall. And then I tried this one. This is another Durant rookie. This is the glossy parallel. It looked pretty decent to me from the scanned image. Came back as a PSA 7 only. And again, I don't know why. I can't see it in person. That's the theme. Now this one I decided to send off because this is actually the Asia variation, but there's nothing on the picture itself really that can let you know that this is actually kind of a rare card. So I figured if this was encapsulated, it had its label on there, it might, stand out a little bit more as something that's rare. So I went ahead and sent it off and it came back as a PSA 10. So that was a nice one. I was very happy about that. Let's see the rookies Asia. This is the Jordan Lawler Asia Refractor. Part of the reason of my thinking on this one, I was thinking a lot of the Asia parallel cards don't get encapsulated in PSA that often because it's not so common for people in China to be sending to PSA. And a lot of these Asia exclusive cards are in China. So I figured this was, there was going to be a pretty low pop count. Jordan Lawler's a good up and coming player. So let's see what I got. PSA 10. Well, that scan makes it look really nice too. So that one's nice. I thought this would just look really cool also in a PSA holder with the red. I really like these electric flood cards from Obsidian Asia. The red one is the least rare of the different floods, but I think it looks the best. It's a rookie. I thought this was a good one. PSA 10. So you can see there's a number of like newer cards in a row, all Asia variations actually, that all ended up with PSA 10s. So I was starting to get a little bit encouraged in this process right here. And this is a beautiful card. I mean, I can tell that I wasn't going to get a PSA 10. There were some small issues here and there along the edges right there as well. But I wanted to encapsulate this no matter what. It was a Michael Jordan game-worn jersey and a Julius Erving game-worn jersey. I was like, that is cool. Those are two of my favorite players of all time. That is a cool card. I'm going to get that encapsulated, whatever it grades. And it got a PSA 8. Center stage card of LeBron James from 1920, from 2019-2020, not the year 1920. It looked pretty nice. Didn't see many issues with it. The PSA 10 value is quite a bit higher than the raw, and that is what it got. So those are my grading reveals so far. I have a handful more on their way back. Some of these will come back soon. Maybe I'll have another grading reveal video eventually. I have a Kobe Bryant Fleer medal that was sent off a couple of months ago, so that should be coming back pretty soon. And then I also have the Shaquille O'Neal Scoring Kings, this old Pele card that I got for a great deal. I was going to send this off for encapsulation no matter what. I wish if this was an SGC option, I probably would have sent that one to SGC. Got another Electric Court rookie parallel of Durant. Got a Steve Young Super Bowl swatches silver. A Topps Chrome rookie of Kevin Durant on its way back. This Leaf Will Smith slaps Chris Rock at award show with game-worn memorabilia, Leaf memorabilia, authentic wardrobe worn by them. I thought this was a hilarious card. I wanted to get it graded because I figured somebody, if it's got a decent grade or something, just to authenticate this one, I figured somebody might really want that card. I sent off this Jason Tatum card, rookie, this Kevin Durant Presentations. This is a case hit card. I thought I would get that one graded. Well, it's kind of early on. And then I bought 2 of these 1938 Churchman boxing cards of Jack Johnson, a boxing legend. So I wanted to send these ones off as well. So I will be getting some of those back over time, and I can do another grading reveal. My thoughts about this: if you send in your own cards to get graded and you just use COMC as like the group submitter or something, and you've actually had a chance to see them in person, I think your chances of getting a PSA 10 are of course going to be higher. It's my experience with this is it's really hard to know how good the card is going to be. Some of these PSA 6, PSA 7s, it's really difficult to tell even now why they ever got that low of a score because I've never seen the card in person. So, I'm not really using it for grading too often if I haven't had the card in my hand before. I am have a little stack right now of cards that I want to send to get graded, and I'm not sure if I want to send it through COMC or if I want to just send it to PSA itself. I'm not really sure yet. So on COMC, it's $22. You can do it a little cheaper if you do it in person, but at the same time, that $22, it does make it so that, it's going to be automatically into your system. It takes away some of the shipping, some of the additional shipping time. If I'm already sending a stash of things to COMC anyway, I don't have to really add much for the shipping cost there. If I was going to end up selling it on COMC later, then it also, I don't have to pay for that additional shipping cost. So it does cost a little bit more to grade it, but at the same time, it reduces the number of shipping things I have to do, and it will reduce the amount of time that it takes to get it into the system here because I won't have to both wait for it to come back to me and then send it into COMC and then wait for it to be in there. It's all part of one process. So I'm reflecting on whether I want to, wait for a good deal at the PSA, wait for some sale or something, because I would like to see them in person as well, or if I just want to do it through COMC. I haven't really decided yet, but I'm probably not really going to do much of buying cards on the platform and sending them off unless it's something I get a really good deal on something like this, like an old 1966 vintage card of Pele that I think no matter what, even if it got a PSA 1 or a PSA 2, it's still a good thing to get graded, or some of these older cards like this, I think that as well. So for those kinds of cards, I'm probably going to continue doing it, or for cards that, are game-worn jerseys of some of the greats, like a Tom Brady or Michael Jordan. If I get those sorts of cards, I'll probably want to encapsulate them almost no matter what grade they get. For other cards that are, that you really have to see in person, I was quite lucky some of these got back PSA 10s. I don't feel confident in my ability to look at one of these scans and know it's going to happen. It's really random chance. So I don't think I'm going to do that too often. Even these better quote unquote scans, it's hard to tell. I mean, I seemed good and I ended up getting a PSA 10. Wonderful. And then other ones seem good. And I get a PSA 10, and other ones seem good and I get a PSA 6. So I don't really know how to tell from the scans. They're just not detailed enough. So I'm probably not going to do that too often. But anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one. Peace.